Ladies and gentlemen, the world does not trouble you. It is your opinion of it that does. Two people can face the same storm. One curses the sky, believing he is doomed, while the other adjusts his sails and continues forward. The storm is the same. The difference is perception. If you wish to train your mind to think smarter and act faster, you must first take control of how you see the world. Without mastery over perception, you are a prisoner of external events, swayed by forces beyond your control. With mastery, you stand firm, unmoved by illusion, and free from unnecessary suffering. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions, reacting instinctively to what happens around them. They are outraged by an insult, discouraged by failure, or fearful in the face of uncertainty. They believe that these events cause their distress, but the truth is far simpler. They have surrendered control over their minds. The external world is neither good nor bad, it simply is. The meaning you assign to it, the story you tell yourself, is what determines your response. When you realize this, you regain power. No longer are you tossed by every wave of circumstance. You become the one who chooses whether something is an obstacle or an opportunity, a burden or a lesson. Consider the common experience of being delayed in traffic. The impatient mind grows frustrated, seeing only wasted time and inconvenience. It curses the situation, growing tense and agitated. But the same event can be seen differently. The trained mind recognizes that anger does nothing to change reality. Instead of fighting what is, it adapts. Perhaps the delay is an opportunity to think, to listen to an audiobook, or simply to practice patience. The traffic is not the problem, the perception of it is. This applies to far greater struggles as well. A rejection can be viewed as a humiliating failure or a necessary redirection towards something better. A loss can be seen as devastation or as a reminder to cherish what remains. This does not mean ignoring reality. A trained mind does not pretend that hardships do not exist. It acknowledges them fully but refuses to be controlled by them. It examines events as they are, stripped of exaggeration and unnecessary emotion. Many suffer not because of what happens, but because they amplify their suffering with unnecessary thoughts. A single setback becomes a catastrophe in their minds. A harsh word from another turns into a personal attack. They replay these moments repeatedly, making them larger and more painful than they ever needed to be. But perception is a skill, and like any skill, it can be sharpened. The key is to pause before reacting, to question the initial response, and to strip away the illusion of control over things that are not truly within your power. A disciplined mind recognizes that every situation contains multiple perspectives. You are not obligated to see things in the worst possible way. You can train yourself to look at challenges as training rather than punishment. Instead of dreading discomfort, you can view it as the forge that strengthens you. What others call misfortune, you can call preparation. You are not deceiving yourself, you are choosing the most useful and effective perspective. The choice is always yours. A soldier does not curse the weight of his armor, he understands its necessity. A climber does not resent the mountain's height, he welcomes the challenge. The mind should be no different. To control perception is to take ownership of your mind. It is the recognition that no event, no insult, no setback can truly harm you unless you allow it to. The strongest minds are not those who avoid difficulty, but those who meet it with steady eyes and unwavering judgment. They see things as they are, not as their fears or desires would have them be. They understand that perspective is the dividing line between suffering and strength. They train themselves not to react impulsively, but to choose their response with wisdom. And in doing so, they move through life with clarity, free from the chaos that consumes others. Emotions are powerful, but they are also fleeting. They rise and fall like waves, unpredictable and often uncontrollable. To be ruled by them is to be at their mercy, constantly swayed by forces that are not fully within your command. Most people live in this state, reacting rather than responding, driven by feelings rather than reason. They are easily angered by a single insult, thrown into despair by a temporary failure, or filled with anxiety over events that have not yet happened. This is not strength, it is weakness disguised as sensitivity. A mind that cannot control itself is a mind that will always be controlled by the world. If you seek clarity, wisdom, and effectiveness, you must master emotional discipline. To master emotional discipline is not to become emotionless. It is not about suppressing what you feel or pretending to be unaffected. The goal is not to rid yourself of emotions, but to ensure they do not dictate your actions. A disciplined mind acknowledges emotions without being ruled by them. It understands that emotions, no matter how intense, are temporary reactions, not absolute truths. Anger does not mean you have been wronged in a way that demands revenge. Fear does not mean the danger is as great as it seems. Sadness does not mean all hope is lost. The undisciplined mind mistakes these fleeting feelings for reality and reacts blindly. The disciplined mind observes them, questions them, and chooses its course deliberately. There is great power in the pause between feeling and action. The weak react instantly, allowing their emotions to take control. The strong recognize the emotion but do not immediately obey it. They step back, examine it, and ask, is this emotion justified? Is it useful? Does it serve my purpose, or does it cloud my judgment? This moment of pause separates those who control themselves from those controlled by their impulses. It allows for reason to take the lead instead of letting emotion dictate behavior. Consider anger, one of the most destructive emotions when left unchecked. It feels righteous in the moment, but it often leads to regret. Words spoken in anger damage relationships, actions taken in anger create unnecessary conflicts, and decisions made in anger rarely serve long-term goals. The disciplined mind does not deny anger, it acknowledges it, but does not act blindly upon it. It asks, why am I angry? What outcome do I seek? Is this the best way to achieve it? Most of the time, anger is wasted energy, a fire that burns the one who holds it. The disciplined mind understands this and lets it go. Fear is another emotion that controls many. It stops people from taking action, convinces them that failure is unbearable, and fills their minds with worst-case scenarios. But fear is often an exaggeration, a magnified version of reality. The disciplined mind confronts fear directly. It does not allow imagined threats to dictate decisions. Instead, it calmly assesses risk, prepares for challenges, and moves forward despite discomfort. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite fear. Emotional discipline is the foundation of courage because it prevents fear from becoming paralysis. Sadness and disappointment are natural, but they too must be kept in check. Many dwell on past failures, replaying mistakes in their minds endlessly. This serves no purpose other than self-punishment. The disciplined mind understands that the past cannot be changed. What matters is what can be done now. Instead of drowning in regret, it extracts lessons and moves forward. It does not indulge in endless self-pity, because that does not lead to growth. Strength is built by accepting reality as it is, not as one wishes it to be. Happiness, though positive, can also be dangerous when not managed properly. It is easy to become complacent, to chase pleasure without purpose, to lose discipline in moments of success. The disciplined mind does not allow joy to make it careless. It enjoys success but remains focused. It does not seek happiness in external things alone, for it knows that external happiness is fragile. True contentment comes from self-control, from knowing that one's actions are aligned with reason, purpose, and principle. Training emotional discipline is a daily practice. It requires awareness of one's own thoughts and feelings, a willingness to question initial reactions, and a commitment to choosing responses rather than being driven by impulses. It is built through small moments, pausing before speaking in anger, resisting the urge to act out of fear, letting go of useless frustration. Over time, this discipline becomes second nature. The mind becomes steady, no longer thrown off course by every emotional storm. It becomes a source of strength, not just for oneself but for those around it. The world is full of people controlled by emotions, reacting without thought, blaming circumstances for their feelings, and allowing their moods to dictate their actions. They exhaust themselves with unnecessary suffering, always at the mercy of how they feel in the moment. But the disciplined mind remains unshaken. It sees clearly, acts wisely, and moves forward with purpose. It understands that emotions are part of life, but they do not define it. They are visitors, not masters. And in mastering them, one masters the self. Discomfort is an unavoidable part of life. No one escapes pain, struggle, or hardship, yet most people spend their lives avoiding it, seeking comfort at every turn, believing that ease is the ultimate goal. They structure their days around convenience, shielding themselves from anything that requires effort, discipline, or sacrifice. They fear failure, so they never take risks. They dread rejection, so they never put themselves forward. They avoid difficult conversations, so their relationships remain shallow. But in doing so, they do not escape suffering, they only delay it. Because discomfort, when avoided, only grows stronger. The more you shrink from it, the more power it holds over you. The only way to master discomfort is to embrace it. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the greatest teacher, the forge that strengthens the mind and body. Growth does not happen in comfort, it happens in resistance, in struggle, in challenge. A muscle does not grow unless it is strained. The mind does not sharpen unless it is tested. Those who avoid discomfort remain weak, untested, unprepared for the inevitable difficulties of life. But those who lean into discomfort develop resilience. They do not break under pressure because they have trained themselves to withstand it. It is easy to admire those who are strong, disciplined, and capable, but few are willing to endure what is required to become that way. Strength is not given. It is earned through discomfort. The soldier does not become battle-ready by staying in safety, but by enduring grueling training. The skilled craftsman does not master his trade without years of frustration and failure. The great thinker does not develop wisdom without long hours of reflection and challenge. Comfort produces nothing but stagnation. Discomfort, when embraced, creates transformation. Fear of discomfort is an illusion. Most of what people fear, the pain of failure, the sting of rejection, the difficulty of hard work, is not as unbearable as they imagine. The mind exaggerates suffering before it even arrives, making the unknown seem more terrifying than it is. But when discomfort is faced directly, it loses its power. The cold water that seemed unbearable before entering becomes refreshing once inside. The difficult conversation that was avoided for weeks brings relief once had. The workout that seemed exhausting beforehand leaves the body energized afterward. In each case, the mind created unnecessary resistance. And in each case, taking action revealed the truth. Discomfort is never as bad as avoidance makes it seem. Discomfort also reveals who you are. When things are easy, anyone can appear disciplined, patient, or strong. But when difficulty arises, the truth is exposed. The one who has trained himself to handle discomfort will remain steady, while the one who has avoided it will crumble. This is why those who embrace discomfort do not fear hardship. They have already tested themselves. They know they can endure. They do not rely on circumstances to be easy. They rely on themselves to be strong. Comfort, on the other hand, weakens the mind. The more one indulges in ease, the harder it becomes to face difficulty. Small inconveniences feel like great burdens. Minor struggles seem unbearable. What was once tolerable becomes intolerable. This is why many who have every material comfort still feel restless, anxious, and unfulfilled. They have made their lives too easy, and in doing so, have made themselves fragile. But those who train themselves in discomfort, who seek challenge rather than flee from it, become unshakable. Embracing discomfort is not about seeking suffering for its own sake. It is about choosing growth over ease. It is about recognizing that the best things in life, wisdom, strength, discipline, resilience, are only gained through struggle. It is about understanding that every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to become better. When the body is tired but the work is not finished, pushing forward builds endurance. When fear whispers to turn back, stepping forward builds courage. When failure comes, rising again builds resilience. Each instance of discomfort, when met with the right mindset, is a step toward mastery. Most people do not reach their potential because they choose comfort over challenge. They tell themselves they will start tomorrow, that they will act when they feel ready, that they will face difficulty when the time is right. But the time is never right. The conditions are never perfect. Those who wait for ease will wait forever. The only way forward is to move despite discomfort, despite fear, despite uncertainty. Action must come first, comfort follows. Life does not reward those who seek the easiest path. It rewards those who endure, who persist, who willingly enter discomfort knowing that on the other side lies strength. Growth is always on the other side of struggle. And those who embrace discomfort do not just endure life's challenges, they thrive in them. Decisions shape the course of life. Every choice, whether small or significant, creates a ripple effect that influences the future. Yet many struggle with indecision, hesitation, and doubt. They fear making the wrong choice, overanalyze possibilities, and allow emotions to cloud their judgment. Instead of acting, they remain stuck, consumed by uncertainty. But clarity in decision-making is not a matter of luck or innate ability. It is a discipline. It requires training the mind to see things as they are, stripping away unnecessary distractions, and acting with purpose rather than impulse. A mind that is unclear in decision-making is like a ship lost at sea, drifting aimlessly, at the mercy of external forces. Without a steady direction, it is easily swayed by fear, fleeting emotions, or the opinions of others. It hesitates, second-guesses, and wastes time. But time is not infinite, and hesitation is a slow form of failure. The longer one waits to make a decision, the more opportunities are lost. The disciplined mind understands this and moves with clarity. It does not wait for perfect conditions or absolute certainty. It examines the situation, determines the best course of action, and moves forward. If the choice is wrong, it learns. If it is right, it progresses. Either way, action is always preferable to stagnation. Clarity begins with controlling emotions. Emotions are unreliable guides in decision-making. They rise and fall unpredictably, shifting perspectives based on temporary feelings rather than logic. Fear can make challenges seem larger than they are. Excitement can cause reckless decisions. Frustration can push one to act impulsively. But emotions do not reflect reality, they distort it. A clear decision-maker does not ignore emotions, but does not allow them to dictate actions. Instead, emotions are acknowledged, set aside, and examined logically. The question is always, what is the right action, regardless of how I feel in this moment? This discipline prevents regretful decisions driven by anger, fear, or temporary desire. Another obstacle to clarity is overthinking. Many believe that more thinking leads to better decisions, but in reality, overanalyzing often leads to confusion. The mind creates endless scenarios, weighing every possible outcome, trying to eliminate all risk. But risk can never be entirely removed. Uncertainty is an illusion. No amount of thinking will guarantee a perfect outcome. The wise decision-maker understands that most choices do not require exhaustive deliberation. They gather the necessary information, assess the available options, and make the best possible choice with what they know. Then they commit, without dwelling on what-ifs or looking back. Clarity also requires stripping away external influences. Many struggle to make decisions because they are too concerned with how others will perceive them. They hesitate, afraid of judgment, criticism, or disapproval. But a decision made to satisfy others is rarely a decision that leads to true success. A clear mind does not seek validation. It chooses based on principle, reason, and purpose, not on what will be most pleasing to those around it. External voices may offer advice, but they should never dictate one's path. The responsibility for a decision rests with the one making it, and no one else will bear the consequences of a poor choice. Therefore, the choice must be made for the right reasons, not to satisfy external expectations. Simplicity is another key to clear decision-making. Many decisions become complicated not because they are difficult, but because the mind adds unnecessary complexity. It looks for hidden meanings, invents imaginary obstacles, and magnifies minor details. But most situations are simpler than they appear. A disciplined mind cuts through the noise and focuses on the essential. What is the goal? What are the options? What is the best way forward? The simpler the process, the clearer the decision. Clarity also comes from experience. No one is born a decisive thinker. It is a skill honed through practice, through making choices and learning from the results. Those who fear making decisions often lack experience in trusting their judgment. The only remedy is action. The more decisions one makes, the more confidence grows. Even mistakes serve a purpose, revealing lessons that refine future choices. Each choice sharpens the ability to judge situations accurately, removing unnecessary hesitation over time. A decisive mind does not dwell on past decisions. Many waste time regretting choices, wondering if they could have chosen better. But the past is unchangeable and regret is wasted energy. A clear thinker accepts the decision made, adjusts if necessary, and moves forward without lingering on what cannot be undone. The focus is always on the next step, not on rewriting the past. Ultimately, clarity in decision-making is the difference between a life of purpose and a life of uncertainty. Those who train their minds to think clearly, act decisively, and remain steady under pressure will move forward, while others remain stuck. The ability to make decisions with clarity is not just an advantage, it is a necessity for anyone who seeks to master their own life. Most people live in a constant state of worry about the future. They obsess over results, fearing failure and disappointment. They tie their self-worth to outcomes, believing that their success or failure defines them. They hesitate to take action unless they can guarantee success. And when things do not go as planned, they are consumed by frustration, regret, or despair. But this attachment to results is a form of self-imposed suffering. It creates anxiety before action, stress during action, and disappointment afterward. The mind becomes trapped in an endless cycle of expectations and reactions, never finding peace. True freedom, clarity, and resilience come from learning to detach from outcomes. Detachment from outcomes does not mean a lack of ambition or effort. It does not mean carelessness or apathy. It means focusing entirely on the process, on what is within control, and releasing concern over what is not. The disciplined mind understands that results are influenced by countless factors, some within one's power, many beyond it. No amount of effort can guarantee success. No level of preparation can ensure a perfect result. A person can prepare thoroughly, work diligently, and still encounter failure due to external circumstances. But if one defines success only by outcome, then satisfaction will always be at risk, forever dependent on forces outside oneself. Instead of measuring success by results, the wise measure it by effort, discipline, and integrity. Did they act with their full ability? Did they make the best decisions possible given the circumstances? Did they uphold their principles? If the answer is yes, then they have already succeeded, regardless of the outcome. They do not allow external failure to define them, nor do they become arrogant in victory. They remain steady, knowing that both success and failure are fleeting, and neither should control their state of mind. Attachment to outcomes creates hesitation. When people fear failure, they delay action, waiting for the right time or perfect certainty before proceeding. But certainty is an illusion, and hesitation is wasted time. Detaching from outcomes removes this burden. It allows for decisive action because there is no fear of what may come. The focus shifts to the present moment, to doing what must be done without unnecessary concern for how it will turn out. The moment effort is linked to expectation, the mind becomes distracted, pulled away from the task itself and into the realm of imagined results. But when one works purely for the sake of the work, free from attachment, the effort becomes sharper, the action more effective, and the mind unburdened by unnecessary tension. Expectations are another source of suffering. Many approach situations with rigid ideas of how things should unfold. They expect promotions, recognition, rewards, or specific responses from others. When reality does not match these expectations, they feel disappointed, frustrated, or even resentful. But the world does not operate according to personal expectations. It moves according to its own nature, indifferent to individual desires. A disciplined mind understands this and expects nothing. It does its work without assuming a particular result. If success comes, it is accepted with humility. If failure comes, it is accepted with resilience. There is no shock, no bitterness, only an understanding that outcomes are beyond control, but actions are not. Detachment from results also creates emotional stability. Those who tie their emotions to success or failure live in constant fluctuation, rising in joy when things go well, falling into despair when they do not. They are controlled by circumstances rather than by their own will, but those who detach remain steady. They do not allow external events to dictate their inner state. Their peace comes not from achieving a certain result, but from knowing they have done their best. This stability makes them stronger in both victory and defeat. In success, they do not become complacent. In failure, they do not become broken. They remain unmoved, guided by reason rather than emotion. There is also a freedom that comes with detachment. When people stop obsessing over outcomes, they become fearless. They take risks without fear of failure. They speak their minds without fear of rejection. They pursue goals without being paralyzed by the thought of falling short. This is not recklessness, it is a deep understanding that nothing external truly defines them. Their worth is not measured by external achievements but by their character, discipline, and effort. This freedom allows for boldness, creativity, and resilience. It removes the weight of expectation and allows people to act with full clarity and purpose. Life is unpredictable. Even the most careful planning cannot account for every variable. The economy shifts, opportunities disappear, people change. No one can control all the elements that shape outcomes. But everyone can control their actions, their mindset, and their response to what happens. Those who grasp this truth move through life with a sense of calm. They embrace both success and failure with the same steady mind, knowing that neither defines them. They are free from the burden of attachment, free to act, free to grow, and free to live fully in the present moment. Mastery is not given, it is earned. It is the result of relentless training, of pushing beyond limitations, of committing to improvement day after day without excuse. Those who achieve greatness, whether in skill, discipline, or character, do so not because of talent alone, but because of their unwavering dedication to refining their abilities. They do not train when it is convenient. They do not stop when they grow tired. They do not wait for motivation. They train relentlessly because they understand that growth is only possible through consistent and deliberate effort. Training is not just about repetition. Mindless practice leads nowhere. True training requires full engagement, full presence, and full effort. It demands attention to detail, a constant search for weaknesses, and a willingness to confront discomfort. It is easy to go through the motions, to convince oneself that effort has been made simply because time has been spent. But improvement does not come from simply doing something, it comes from doing it with precision, intensity, and intention. Those who train relentlessly do not settle for mediocrity. They refine every movement, correct every flaw, and challenge themselves in every session. Discipline is the foundation of relentless training. The mind will always seek comfort, always look for reasons to stop, always attempt to justify why effort is not needed today. The undisciplined listen to these excuses and give in. The disciplined reject them. They show up regardless of how they feel, regardless of circumstances, regardless of whether they are inspired. They understand that motivation is fleeting and unreliable, but discipline is unshakable. They do not need to feel like training, they train anyway. This consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who remain average. There is no mastery without struggle. Training relentlessly means embracing the struggle, knowing that difficulty is not a reason to stop but a sign of progress. Muscles grow when they are pushed beyond their limits. The mind sharpens when it is challenged. Skills improve when mistakes are corrected. Yet many people avoid discomfort. They train only within their comfort zone, never pushing beyond what is easy. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Those who train relentlessly welcome struggle because they know it is the only path forward. They do not fear failure because they understand that failure is part of the process. They do not see setbacks as reasons to quit, but as opportunities to refine their approach. Relentless training is also a test of patience. Progress does not happen overnight. The greatest achievements are built through years of effort, through thousands of hours of training, through an unwavering commitment to improvement. Many seek quick results, hoping for shortcuts or easy paths to success. But there are none. The disciplined understand that mastery is a long journey, and they embrace the process. They do not measure progress by immediate results, but by the accumulation of effort over time. They trust that every session, every repetition, every lesson is moving them forward, even if they do not see the results immediately. Focus is a crucial part of relentless training. Many waste time by training without purpose, by allowing distractions to take their attention away from the task at hand. But true training requires complete focus. The mind must be fully engaged, analyzing every movement, learning from every mistake and making precise adjustments. Half-hearted effort produces half-hearted results. Those who train relentlessly eliminate distractions. They train with full intention, ensuring that every moment spent in practice is meaningful. Relentless training also requires humility. Growth is not possible for those who believe they have nothing left to learn. The best in any field, whether in combat, intellect, or art, are those who recognize their own flaws and seek to improve them. They do not let ego interfere with progress. They accept criticism, seek guidance, and remain students no matter how skilled they become. The undisciplined resist correction, believing they already know enough, but the relentless learner knows that mastery is an endless pursuit, that there is always more to refine, more to understand, more to develop. Pain is inevitable in training. Fatigue will come. Doubt will whisper. The body will ache. The mind will beg for rest. But those who train relentlessly do not break under these pressures. They accept pain as part of the process, knowing that every struggle is a step toward greater strength. They do not complain about the difficulty, they embrace it. While others stop when discomfort arrives, they push through it. This willingness to endure is what makes them unshakable, what separates the strong from the weak. Relentless training is not only about physical skill. It is about developing an unbreakable mindset. Those who train themselves to push forward regardless of difficulty become mentally strong in all areas of life. They build resilience that carries into everything they do. They become the ones who do not falter in hardship, who remain steady in chaos, who can be relied upon when things become difficult. Their training goes beyond skill, it shapes their character. The rewards of relentless training are not immediate, but they are lasting. Strength, skill, discipline, resilience, these are not things given freely. They are earned through effort, through persistence, through the willingness to endure what others will not. Those who train relentlessly do not wonder if they will succeed. They know they will, because they have put in the work. They have built themselves into something stronger than they were before. They have become unshakable, not by talent, not by luck, but by effort. And in the end, that is what truly matters. The path to mastery is not for the weak-willed or the easily discouraged. It demands sacrifice, discipline, and an unshakable commitment to progress. Those who train relentlessly do not wait for opportunities, they create them. They do not rely on luck, they rely on effort. They do not fear struggle, they embrace it. And because of this, they rise above the rest. In the end, success is not determined by talent alone, nor by circumstances beyond control. It is determined by the willingness to show up, to endure, to push forward when others quit. The choice is simple: train relentlessly or remain stagnant. Those who choose the former will find that there are no limits, only the boundaries they are willing to break.